Mic's working, camera's good. Good. We'll try to start right up at 1 o'clock. Yeah, check, check, check. Mic's good, mic's good. All right, we'll get started here today. I think everybody knows why we're here. Usually we say start days are Pablo Day, but today is officially Pablo Day. So we have Derek, Falvey, and Rocco joining Pablo on the stage here. Just a few housekeeping items. We'll let Derek say a few words and then let Pablo address the crowd, and then we'll open it up for questions. And just please speak into the wireless mic before you ask your question. But we'll get started. Derek?
All right. Good, I guess, afternoon now, right? We just take the afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone here. As Dustin mentioned, this is an exciting day for the Minnesota Twins and our franchise, and certainly for Pablo and his family. I'll get to that in a second. But I love being in this room because in this setting, because it's an opportunity to talk about a player who is somebody who we feel really great about, who we are investing in over multiple seasons to come, and I'll touch on that in a second. But really, I want to start with a few thank yous. I want to start Bobby Baird. Bobby, Pablo's agent, works with Excel Sports, has worked tirelessly with our baseball operations crew, with Thad and with Daniel and with Jeremy Zoll and others within our baseball crew. Obviously, Rocco playing a meaningful role in the partnership and the development of helping to get to this point. So, Bobby, thank you for that. I want to thank all of our baseball operations crew, our scouting staff, our evaluation staff. And when you make a trade of this magnitude and you bring in a player like Pablo Lopez, there's a lot that's written on the paper and a lot of work that goes into that and learning about the person. And that's something that is not a small factor in this decision here today. And I want to thank everyone who played a role in that. I I have to thank, obviously, the Pohlad family and Joe Pohlad for their continued commitment. When we're in this room and we talk about investment in this team for the fans of the Minnesota Twins, no one comes to bat more than the Pohlad family does for this organization. And, Joe, I want to thank you and your family for this investment in Pablo and in this team. And then lastly, and most importantly, to Kaylee Lopez here, Pablo's wife, who's here with us today, your family, now a part of our family, and something that's really important to us, and to Pablo, the man to my left here, for believing in us, for taking the time in the very short period of time he's had here in Minnesota to get to know this organization, to talk about how important the organization was to him and what it meant to be a Twin now in a very short time, knowing going forward. You know, it's rare, as I said, when you read the scouting reports, that you look on paper and the player exceeds everything that's written there. And it says high character, and it says incredible work ethic, and it says everything about the quality of the pitcher that he is. Then he comes through the doors, and you get to know the person, the living, breathing human being who's there, and just over and above. For everyone who's been around him in this organization to this point, his work ethic, his commitment, what he wants to be. When we traded for him and had that first phone call with him, the first words out of his mouth were thank you, and then it was, I'm going to do everything I can every day to make the Minnesota Twins better and to make my teammates better. And I can't think of something that sums up Pablo Lopez more than that statement. And I'm thrilled to be able to say today that he's going to be with us here for a long time. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Pablo.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words, and I want to piggyback upon all the thank yous you were able to give. Obviously, a lot of great people were behind all of this. The Pohlad family, thank you very much for all the trust and encouragement. Came here with, like a lot of expectations, and every expectation I went into spring training with were easily exceeded with how great this organization is run, top to bottom. Starts with you guys and then front office, players, coaches, so it made the transition so much easier and made me all that excited. Thank you to my wife, Kaylee, Bobby, my agent, and then to every person in this room that believed in me, and it made me want to come to the ballpark every day, trying to be the person that I was, not trying to be someone else, come to this organization just trying to bring who Pablo Lopez is, and then you guys accommodated that, encouraged me to want to come and get better. So I could not be happier to be a Minnesota Twin, and moving forward, I'm very, very excited. I'm ready to live and breathe Minnesota Twins baseball on and off the field. It doesn't have to be everything on the field. We're very thrilled to be a part of this community. We're very thrilled to go out there and let the community know that as just the way they have our backs when they come to the field to support us, we also have their backs out there in the community. So I could not be happier to be a Minnesota Twin. There's so many great things about the game of baseball, and I think doing it for an organization like this is going to make it all that much more exciting. So thank you very much, and I'm just very, very happy.
Thanks, Pablo.
This is probably mostly for Derek, but if Rocco or Pablo want to weigh in, that's great too. Derek, you don't always have in-season press conferences. You usually don't sign somebody you just traded for to a long-term extension. He's only been in the organization a few months now. How did all this happen, and why did it happen so quickly?
Yeah, you're right. You don't always transform this from mid-year. It has other uses, as we see during the course of the season, but it's a great opportunity to do it. I think Jim, what you're asking there is how it came together was truly about partnership and a mutual understanding and respect around what the player wanted and what that looked like, and Bobby and to Pablo and to his family to say, in this limited amount of time, and we got to know him in spring training a little bit through Twins Fest and then ultimately through spring training. Then the WBC happened, and he went and pitched for Team Venezuela and was tremendous there. Coming back, you could tell how much he appreciated, I hope, this environment and how much we really valued the work that he was putting in. We knew the quality of the pitcher. I hate to say nothing's easy about this, but that's the easier part when you're trying to figure out how he's going to go on the mound. But when you make an investment like this and you're going to pitch that to ownership, you want to make sure that it's someone you really do believe in, that will continue to grow and get better. And as we had those conversations, as Bobby brought them up and we had that kind of mutual dialogue, it took a little bit longer for us to get to the right overlap, but it was always with an understanding that it felt like Pablo wanted to be here. And I think that we wanted him here, ultimately found that connection and got that done here in the recent past.
Yeah, by the time the trade happened, I heard from multiple people how good of a fit this would be, and I can't put into words how right that was. You know, such a great fit, both culturally with the how the values are. There's so many good values in this organization. The way that the organization's driven with family values and using those values to do the best that we can to get better and go out there and perform and make the city proud of us. So, and then with that being said, then the conversation started, and it's just like with every day passing, I just became more and more excited for the opportunity to be here long term, and then obviously hold to that opportunity. And now that it's official, it's a dream come true to be in this room, first time in this conference room, and excited for the reason that we're here for. And then it still feels surreal at times, but I'm just looking forward to every single day of my career here.
Hey, Pablo, you mentioned family values, but what are some of the other things you've learned about the Twins organization in the past few months that have really convinced you that this was the right place for you long term?
Yeah, so I think one of the things is the Minnesota Twins are willing to provide us with every single resource, every single opportunity to get better as a player, as an individual, and then bringing that together as a whole team. So they do everything they can to, in my case, to make me better, so I can go out there and give the team the best opportunity to win a ball game. And then they do that with every single player on the roster, because then if you bring the best of us as a whole, then we're gonna bring the best of us as a team to go out there and try to win as many ball games. And the expectations are there. We take the field every single day with expectations to win a ball game. Then we do that day in and day out and hopefully we do that through the course of an entire season and do what we want. I remember seeing when Carlos came back saying the word dynasty. We're looking to build a dynasty, and now I'm going to be a part of that. I'm going to commit myself 100% to that every day to be the best version of myself. Be better than I was 5 days ago. Be better than I was the previous time, and then just taking it one day at a time, looking for many, many ways to get better.
Derek, this is the biggest contract you've given out to a pitcher by quite a bit. Does this represent a change in philosophy, or what was it about this specific situation that was a little different?
Yeah, I think, speaking to other just conversations we've had, there have been plenty of other pitchers. We've had different conversations about at really high levels. I will tell you that for us, investing internally and finding that overlap, it was about what I said, prior. In a really short period of time, we got to know who this guy was. I mean, everything he just said, we get to see. Rocco and I and everybody inside these walls get to see every day about how he is committed to being better 5 days later than he was today. And that's a special trait. And there are a few other guys in that room, a whole host of them, I hope, over time, but a few of them that have been through some of the big league experiences and have learned that and have gotten better in that way. And I think that when you have high character, driven players that are now some of your premier guys. He's pitched like a top of the rotation guy since he's gotten here, no question, going back to spring training through the WBC and to the start of the season. And we view him that way, and we're leaning on him that way. And I know the players in that room feel that way. So for us, this was when we traded for him, we hoped this was a long-term relationship. We knew he had 2 years left on his contract, but we ultimately said, how do we make this a longer fit? Could we find that overlap? And fortunately, because of the relationship we have with the agent and ultimately Pablo's feeling about this organization, that's why we wanted to make that step and recommend that to Joe to go forward with.
This is for Rocco. Obviously, you had a chance to read scouting reports and see video on Pablo before the trade, but since he's had a chance to put on a Twins uniform, what have you learned about him as a pitcher and as a person that made this day maybe inevitable to you?
Well, he's a very special individual, and you can watch him pitch, and I encourage everyone to do so, and I encourage you to listen to him when he speaks. On top of both of those two things, we get a chance, as Derek said, to watch everything that Pablo does. From the day that he arrived, walked into our spring training complex, asked for a favor to basically come in earlier than the rest of the group to make sure that he could get everything done on his time. Everyone smiles that knows him, because I think now we got a chance to learn that. We got a chance to see what goes on in between everything else. And Pablo used the word commitment. I mean, when you get a chance to lay eyes on a player who is committed to a disciplined routine and way of handling himself and the things that he believes in, and all of those things when they match up with what a manager, coaching staff, organization, group in the clubhouse are striving for, or aiming for, and he exemplifies that every single day. These decisions become very easy for us, because when you lock in on a person like this, you get very excited, and I couldn't be happier to be sitting here and being a part of what's going on here right now. He's a wonderful guy.
Rocco, along those lines, Nelson Cruz had a presence in the clubhouse. Carlos Correa has a presence in the clubhouse, and they just kind of ooze leadership. He has that same kind of personality, at least when you see him, that's the way it strikes you. Those guys are both position players. What does it mean to you as a manager to have a pitcher that's also a leader? And Pablo, you can dovetail on that as well. Is that an important piece to it because they're such separate groups?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think you need it with both groups, of course. I think sometimes you can feed off of a guy, even if he is a position player or even if he is a pitcher and you're not one of those guys. But knowing that you have someone with the presence that Pablo has, with, as we said, the work ethic that he has, all of the things that he's going to show, not even just our major league team, our minor league players, everyone that observes anything related to the Twins and what we do, he's going to be the one that's going to be showing that to everyone in the right manner, and you feel that confidence. When you have that type of confidence in a guy, it makes you feel wonderful. And he's going to be leading us now for a very long time at the top of our staff. To have him pitching on opening day today, new to the organization, went and pitched in the WBC, and still us sitting here going, this is the guy, and we're going to send him out there. We're going to let him go do his job because we know he's ready, and we think we know what we're going to get. And we've gotten even more than what we thought, to be very honest, as Derek said. And that's rare, and it's special.
For Pablo and either Derek or Rocco, Pablo, statistically, analytically, you look like a better pitcher today than you were last September. You were a good pitcher then, but everything looks better now. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I mentioned the word resources early, and it's just with the Twins. The first couple of things we did spring training was sit in a room for 3 days straight to really get to know my identity. I thought I knew who I was, but then I discovered so much more, and then I also got to discover what the Twins saw in me. They were willing to make the trade they did for me, and that was, number one, very encouraging for me, and number two, let me realize there's something that they see in me, and now we're going to try to find those things. So then it was just sitting in that room and finding out what was that next step, what was that next gear that we could find, and along those lines, having finding those little things, it's like, okay, now that we found it, how do we work on it? And it was all about understanding the purpose of the things we were doing. We're trying to get better at this, so these new skill, these new things that you're working on are going to take you out, are going to take you on the mountain. It's going to make you better. It's going to make you go out there and be a better version of yourself to eventually help the team win. So it was just really understanding the things that I could work on, understanding my strengths and my weaknesses. And one thing that I really liked is that even though we wanted to work on weaknesses, you still want to focus more on your strengths. The strength is who you are. The strength is what, in my case, got me here. And then you want to work on your weaknesses, but also just stay true to yourself. So it was just about really pounding and understanding, we want to get better, but also don't forget the things that make you good. And then once we found the thing that we knew we could help me get to the next level, they did everything in their power to give me the feedback that I needed from the front, from the coaching staff, the catchers, my fellow starters, the relievers. Everyone involved in this organization is so good at giving the feedback and feeding off of each other on how to get better and how to go about our business, and just building those relationships on everyone's here with the same goal of winning a championship, and how do we all do our part in helping each other.
Pablo, since Rocco's been here and Derek, they've had a lot of success, but haven't had a lot of number one starters where you just know who the number one guy is. And it looks like you've evolved to that kind of bulldog mentality. And those of us that go way back remember Jack Boris, and he'd be the streak stopper, or guys ride my back kind of thing. Do you look at yourself that way? And maybe Rocco can comment on this. What is a number one starter to you in a rotation?
Yeah, number one starter, I think, is the guy that he knows who he is. He knows that when he takes the mound, he did everything that he could possibly have done to give the team the best chance to win a ball game. So the way I look at it is like, when I'm on that mound, I know that I'm there to compete. I know that I'm out there to, if it's necessary, leave everything on the field. So like, it's about battling. It's about understanding what the team needs in certain occasions. It's about being the guy that's out there. And if the team really needs something good from me today, which is usually like how every day I look at it, like I want to be the guy that throws the very first pitch of the game and throws the very last pitch of the game. You know, that's kind of my mentality. I want to be out there, and I want to be the guy that people say, you know, he's tough without runners on base, even tougher with men on base, you know, things like that. You want to be the guy that can limit damage. You want to be the guy that if we score, then I'm going to be out there and be like, okay, now we score, now they don't score. Just having that little mentality of always being on the attack, always being on the hunt, and then just really about doing the things, not for myself, but for my team. You know, I'm doing things for the guys that are to my left, to my right. Like if I'm on the mound that day, I want to go deep into the game to help the bullpen out. If we need it, like give me the ball. I'm the guy that's going to go deep to help the team, and then just give the best opportunity that we need.
For Derek and Rocco, what does it mean for the franchise to have Carlos, Byron, and Pablo locked up long term?
Well, I think Rocco said this earlier, and I think we both feel this way, is when you have some of your, and there's a lot of good young players in there, there's a lot of great makeup, great character guys. When you have some of the guys that are at the high end, that are near the top of a rotation, that are some of your best players, and from a talent standpoint, also are the guys that are first to show up every day, and some of your best workers, and showing what other guys, what the expectations are when you walk through the door. I mean, I think Pablo and Carlos often are the first two in that clubhouse. That's pretty special. That's pretty unique. And I think that when you have guys like that are both high character and high performers, it elevates the rest of the room. And I feel like that's what having him a part of this means to us.
Yeah. The guy pitching at the top of your rotation and the guys hitting at the top of your lineup, they give strength to everybody else. They make you stronger. They make you better. You look to them at times to do things for the team when you need them and to get the job done, and to carry you at times and to do a lot of other things at times. But more than anything else, you're looking to them. And this is a guy that we're going to be looking at and looking towards to give everyone strength for a long while.
Pablo, I don't know if you checked the forecast for your start tomorrow, but the weather here is a little different than it is in Miami or elsewhere. Did that give you pause at all? The idea that you may be pitching in cold weather in April and September and hopefully October, maybe even early November?
Maybe tomorrow I'll have a better answer to that question because I'll be pitching tomorrow, and I definitely look at the forecast and all that. But no, I don't think it wasn't like it really didn't matter into my decision or just my willingness to commit myself to be a Minnesota Twin for a long time. You know, it's one of those things that you adjust. You can't control it. You just adjust to the environment. You do the things that you need to do to make you feel better in those kind of situations. And I mean, if other people do it, why can't I do it? You know, obviously the Twins have been here for a long time. Target Field opened 13 years ago without a roof, and I'm sure there's been plenty of cold days in that time. So it's about adjusting and then just understanding where I am, that I can really control that, and just go out there and try to really probably learn a lot of new things I didn't have to learn in my career to this point. But there's got to be ways, and, well, if I'm going to need them, I'm going to find them.
Pablo, can you speak to Pablo Day at all? What does it mean to you? How do you define it?
I mean, it's every 5 days, and it's a fun day, and that's just a fun little thing that started. And then I don't know, I can kind of I like the ring to it, and it became just one of those things that, hey, every 5 days, why not say it's Pablo Day and then make it a fun little thing out of it?
I think that's a good place to stop. I just want to share one story about Pablo. You know, about an hour after we traded for him, he asked me for names and numbers of a lot of people throughout our organization, our front office staff, our clubhouse staff, our community relations staff. He really wanted to make an impact, and I thought that was very impressive. And then shortly after we extended him, he asked he wanted to make that same impact with the fans. And so we kicked around a few ideas, and then today he's going to go out and sign some autographs for some fans today. So I think that shows a lot about the character of Pablo Lopez. And I think all of us are excited to have him here in Minnesota for a long time. So with that, please congratulate Pablo Lopez on his contract extension. And if I can invite the three of you up in front for some photos. Thank you, everybody, for joining today.